All right, champ. Let's talk a little bit. I'm gonna go back to XFL graphics, and then we can talk a little bit about um, this hockey game again. And but yeah. So, champ, what are some of your thoughts on this unfortunate loss this week?
Oh well, so the funny thing is that so this past week, Thursday, would have been my dad's 76th birthday. So I went to visit his grave on Thursday, which was very emotional. But then Sunday, I went to visit his grave again with more of my family, my mother, my brother, and my son. And as we were sitting in a McDonald's 5 minutes away from the cemetery, we were actually watching some of this game live. And I came to the conclusion that, and I've said this multiple times when we talk about the defenders, is that this is definitely not the same team that made such a magical run last year to the XFL championship. This is totally a different team and not in a good way. And they were quite competitive in this one, but but St. Louis was just a better team. Teamu is just not the same quarterback that he was last season when they were using the two quarterback system where they were switching out quarterbacks and things of that nature. Teamu went 23 of 40 for 196 yards. He threw two touchdowns, but he also threw two interceptions as well. And the defenders needed this win because they needed it in order to make the playoffs. But because of the loss, there are no playoffs in their sights at all, and it's very disappointing because you're coming off a season where you never lost at home. You made this big run all the way to the championship and lost to a team who had no business being in the playoffs and ended up beating you for the championship. And now the following season, not only do you just don't make the playoffs, it's very disappointing. And it's been a disappointing season for this team because defensively they haven't played very well. Offensively, they've been very inconsistent. And this game right here, early on, it wasn't a lot of offense. It wasn't until the second half that the offense has started to ramp up. But uh, clearly, Washington, DC were more one. They were more one dimensional when it came to the offense with passing. They only had 89 rushing yards, whereas the Battlehawks had 141 rushing yards. The passing yards were more on DC side with 209 to 94. So they were definitely more one dimensional, which made it much more easier for the Battlehawks on defense to be able to contain them and to hold on to a 5 point victory to help their cause for the playoffs and to keep DC out of the playoffs. So again, a very disappointing season for DC. They still have two more games to go, but basically those two games they're playing for pride at this point, and I'm very excited to go to the game against Arlington. Hopefully, we can at least get that dub off of Arlington after they beat us in the XFL Championship, and they beat us earlier this season as well. Hopefully, we can get that dub to end the season on a respectable note. But just very, very, very disappointing. Very disappointing.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. DC, if you remember, I believe they swept the Battlehawks last year,
Yes, they did.
and that Battlehawks were tied with the Sea Dragons for that second spot in the North Division. So we knocked them out of the playoffs last year in theory. And so I think this was in a bit their revenge, right? And so it'll be interesting to see. It's such a tough league because you lose any good players you have to the NFL. A lot of players retire or change, teams. You don't have long contracts, and it's just hard to keep chemistry year after year. Unlike the Mystics, who they failed in the championship game one year, but they were able to retain most of those same players and were able to come back and win it. And a lot of great franchises do that. They get almost to the brink and then they win it in the next year. But it's really hard for an XFL team to do that, because the top two or four teams are going to lose a lot of key components every year, which is what it's supposed to be, a supplemental league. So you can't fault them for that. But it'll be interesting to see if next year, if we lose less players, if we get more of a chemistry and we bring some of the same players back, how they'll do going forward.
Right.
Um, it's almost better to be middling, not like the worst, but sort of middle, and then build a chemistry and then try to like win it all the next year, I would think, for like a long-term strategy. It's got to be a very different strategy than it would be in the NFL.
Yeah.
And so we'll definitely monitor that. But I'm so excited to get to go with you to a game. Let's talk a little bit of soccer real fast, and then I want the quick wrestling update, and then to get you out of here. I know that we were said it was going to be an early night, and it's later, but it's been a fun show. I appreciate everybody for being a part of it, and then I'm going to have Adrian and Gil do the tail end part. Vancouver is on the power play, 2 minutes or minute 50 left in the power play. They still find themselves down 3-0 with 14 minutes left in the third period. I'm going to change my graphics real quickly to our soccer graphics. And they actually had two games this week, but unfortunately, we had two games because they lost both of them 4-1 to the Red Bulls last Wednesday, and then 1-0 to a really good Miami team, the number one team in the league, I believe. So, Champ, what happened in these games?
I didn't really see much of the Red Bulls game, but clearly, they were outmatched against the Red Bulls. But what really intrigued me was the Inter Miami game because it took one of the best teams in the MLS 4 minutes into stoppage time of the second half to score the lone goal in this to win, which means DC United held one of the best teams in the league to just one goal very late in the game. So that tells me that DC is primed to really get things up and going. All they have to do is they just got to start putting it together. But um, losing to the Red Bulls the way that they didn't really help the cause to go into this game. They didn't have a lot of momentum, but the fact that they were able to hold Miami to only the one goal and stop its time in the second half should tell you that this team is building to something. And there wasn't really much to talk about when it came to at least the Miami game because of the fact that again it was the one goal that was very very late in the game. Miami did have 67% possession in this game to DC's 33%. There were 15 shots by DC, only three on target, while Miami only had 8 shots and only two on target. But again, when you hold one of the best teams in the league to only the lone goal that late, that tells me that you know you have what it takes. You just have to put it all together. And so hopefully they'll be able to do something moving forward and be able to make something happen. But a tough stretch, a two-match losing streak moving forward here is not going to get things done if you're going to try to make the playoffs. And then you're going to Chicago on Saturday, and so you got to be able to do something against Chicago coming off of these two losses in these last two matches. If you're going to make a move up the table in the Eastern Conference.
Chicago's also going to be hungry. They've had 4 ties and 8 losses, and only 2 wins on the season for 10 total points. DC United finds themselves in ninth place with 17 points, tied with Philadelphia, who also has 17 points, but they currently have a better goal differential. The winner of the 8-9 matchup would actually play Inter Miami in that first round, so it'd be interesting to see if there'd be a rematch. Miami has 31 points compared to DC United 17. But seventh place and sixth place are tied with 21. Fifth place is 22, which is Toronto. The Red Bulls are in fourth place with 23 points. And so it doesn't take a lot of wins to string together to start to climb. It's all been pretty tight. Vancouver has now gone 1 for 21 at home on the power play in the playoffs this season. So that's not going to be enough to get it done. They still find themselves uh, down 3-0. They only had 2 shots on that 2 minute power play. We're now under 12 minutes left in the third. All right, we got one last topic to talk about, which is your No Spots podcast. Let people know what's happening in the world of wrestling, and we'll then let Champ get out of here.
Right. So we recorded episode 240 on before we came here to do the Sports on the Hill podcast. And one of the segments on there was a really interesting segment. Myself and Sith gave our top 10 favorite heels in professional wrestling. So that's going to be a really good one to follow. And if you are a wrestling fan and you have a top 10 list of heels that you like, make sure you hit us up on Facebook or on Twitter or on or you can email us on Facebook. We're on facebook.com/, no spots pod. We're on Twitter, twitter.com/, true no spots pod. And you can email us, true no spots pod at gmail.com. That episode will go up on Wednesday. So make sure you check it out. We also talk about everything that happened in the week prior. And then this coming weekend is going to be a busy streaming weekend for us on Twitch, because we will be streaming, recording episode 241. We will be previewing the King and Queen of the Ring event taking place in Saudi Arabia on Saturday. Then we will have a matinee live reaction stream to King and Queen of the Ring on our Twitch channel on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we will be, after we preview Double or Nothing for AEW on Friday, we will be doing live stream reactions to AEW Double or Nothing on Sunday night. And it'll be great because even if it's a late one, it's Memorial Day weekend, so I don't have to work the next day, so I don't have to worry about going to sleep and waking up early the next day. So make sure you follow us on twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod, and make sure you check out the podcast partners button on sportsothp.com for that. Oh, and I almost forgot, we will also be streaming and recording our podcast to continue coverage of the Best of the Super Juniors tournament going on in Japan for New Japan Pro Wrestling, as it's getting really, really tight. Going through the halfway point of this tournament. We're going to have a lot to talk about. This is going to be on Thursday, so a lot to talk about. A lot of streams coming up in the next week. So again, twitch.tv/True No Spots Pod if you want to check out our streams as well. Also, make sure you check out our tiktok.com/at True No Spots Pod. I've been putting up a lot of TikToks there of my gameplay of EA Sports PGA Tour. I even put up some gameplay of Madden 24. I'm doing the Madden 24 Superstar mode. Made myself a quarterback, and I'm the starting quarterback for the Washington Commanders, and I'm in my second season, and we're actually doing pretty well. I'm currently playing MLB The Show 24 right now while we're talking. That's why if you're watching on the Twitch channel for Robbie, I've been doing a lot of reactions because I'm striking people out and stuff. But
Nice.
right now, I'm playing on the Nationals, and we're up 2-1 against Cincinnati. So I'm trying to hold on to that, because against the Giants, we had a 3-0 lead going into the third inning, and I ended up squandering that into a 3-3 tie, and we ended up losing. Even though I didn't take the loss, we still lost. So we got all that going on social media. So make sure you follow all that. Thank you for having me on, Robbie, as always. I cannot wait to be back in 2 weeks and everything like that.
I'm
And
so excited to get to finally catch a game with you. This will be our first sporting event live together. I mean, we've watched games together in different locations, but we've never gone to a game together. So, this will be
and
a
this will be the third time that we actually meet in person together, because the first time we met was out in Fort Washington when
fourth
C
time.
well, fourth time. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Because the first time was when CP3 was doing his thing out in Fort
That
Wash.
was so cool. A live from the bar podcast that we used to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I've come to your house,
Mhm.
and we watched the Super Bowl. And what was the third time? Because I can't
Uh,
remember the third time.
and Black GOP's funeral. But yeah,
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah.
That's right.
Rest
Yeah,
in
yeah.
peace to him. Without him, none of this would have ever happen. So,
Yeah,
um,
this month marks, what is it? 5 years since
yeah,
since he passed.
crazy to me. It's been 5 years. But yeah, rest in peace to Black GOP. You know, Jason started the True Radio Network, which we both still carry on the torch, and I know that Sith also does too with the basement stuff and all the things that he does with his podcasts. And so shout out to Sith, a great co-host on your channel as well.
Yeah,
Used
make
to
sure y'all check out Sis Basement on Spotify. It comes out every Sunday around 3 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, for sure. So I love that we still have three programs that we consider as part of the True Radio Network, and that I'm happy we're able to keep it alive. I know it's an important vision of his that he wanted to do. So I appreciate your time as always. I look forward to seeing you on in 2 weeks, but then also recapping it live here on the show as well. And I hope that you have a great 2 weeks and enjoy Memorial Day weekend. It's always a fun weekend. Hopefully the weather will be good, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Go Quiqueño. Sayonara.
And all right, so I'm gonna change the graphics up back up to Ovi winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Which is always a great graphic. I know. Um,
Yes, it is.
uh, so Adrian, how are you feeling tonight?
No, pretty good. Pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I'm watching the game on ESPN, like on the channel on like the smart TV keeps sputtering out, and like my lights are kind of like dark. Can you see me okay? Can you hear me
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Am I
you
coming
sound
in?
great. Yeah,
Great.
yeah, you're
Awesome.
coming in great.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna tell Gil if he's listening, he can jump back on. If
Yeah,
he's not,
yeah.
send him a quick little message um, to let him know. I know that he was pretty tired. He didn't know if he was going to be able to jump back on, but I'll let him know this is the time if he wants to. It's been a very exciting game. I
Yeah.
know you've been a long time Oilers fan, and
Yes.
for surprising, people have scored in this one. And so we can. I'm gonna pull up the live score to say that. But overall, what are some of your overall thoughts on this game so far?
Well, what I've liked about this game is that, I mean, aside from the obvious, Edmonton being really, really good, um, I am pleased with how Edmonton was able to kill that 4 minute power play at the end of the first period. Like, to be honest, like, because earlier in this series, Edmonton had a pretty good lead in one of the games, and Vancouver was able to come back and beat. I think it was game one or two. It was like a monumental comeback. I was just flabbergasted with how well Vancouver was able to rally and put Edmonton to bed that night. And when they were showing the stats on the screen about how the team that scores first in a game 7 wins like 75% of the time or something outrageous like that. And so when they got that 4 minute, I think it was a double minor because it was a high sticking
Yeah,
up through
high
blood.
stick. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is it. Like, well, it's been a good run, but they were able to keep Vancouver at bay like the whole time. They barely got any shots on, and like those statistics that they've been showing, like Vancouver has gotten like a pitiful amount of shots this whole game, which is like, oh man. So
Oh,
um, it's not just about the defense; it's about the goaltending. Looks like Vancouver finally got a goal now with 8.5 left. So
if this
you
is
know, yeah,
yeah. See
yeah.
if
Am I
I,
ahead of you, or are you
no,
behind?
yeah, you no,
Yeah.
you are right on. I don't want to jinx you. I feel bad.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were doing
yeah.
so well, and like the shutout was broken. Well, it's also funny because
Right.
Eddie or because Davey in chat just said
Yeah, not so
he said
fast. Yeah.
it's only exciting for Oilers fans, and then he said,
Yeah.
"Oh," and you hear the voice saying,
Yeah.
"Not so fast, my friend." Exactly. So yeah, with
Yeah.
8:33 left to get on the board, but I'm kind of happy. Like I'm rooting for the Oilers, but I want it to be a good game. Like
Yeah,
you know, I don't
exactly.
want to
Yeah.
like to be shut out at home it sucks. Like you know, like especially in a
That's
game
true.
seven,
Yeah.
like if your
Cuz
fans paying lots of money, like
because the last game 7 they had was back in 2011 when they lost the cup to Boston, and they got shut out that game, and like then, like, as you may recall, there was a riot in the
I
city, and it was like
yeah.
it was all over the news. It was yeah, it was not good for Vancouver. My aunt, she lives there, and she was a Canucks fan, but then after that riot happened, she's like, I don't know if I could support them anymore if like it causes my city to be set ablaze. So um but like what I like about this whole postseason in general is we're finally seeing we're either seeing teams that have never won it before or haven't won it in decades. Like I'm tired of seeing, I was happy to see the Caps win back in 18, of course. I remember
I
we
would have
watched, I
fine if
was
they
at your
wanted to
house.
win,
That
you
was
know.
great. Yeah, so totally. And like Ovechkin's like a living legend, right? Like he's this generation's Wayne Gretzky, and seeing them succeed like that, finally break the curse, was fantastic. But then we had Tampa Bay winning back to back. and we had Colorado, Vegas. The St. Louis Blues won it the following year, which I was okay with. But like, I was tired of seeing the same teams get into the finals or win over and over and over again. So it's nice to see some teams that haven't won it in a long time or never. Like Florida's never won it. I don't think, like, hopefully, I mean, fingers crossed. Vancouver has never won it. Edmonton hasn't won it since '90. Rangers not won it since '94, and the Stars haven't won it since '99. So, like, it's nice to see some sort of potential for a team that I haven't seen hoist the cup in a very, very long time or never before. I'm tired of seeing Tampa Bay Lightning or whatever in the finals. Like, it's like you had your back to back. Okay, like that's enough, especially since it was like during the COVID stuff, and that happened in Edmonton because Edmonton was basically like the host to like the bubble of the postseason that year. So I was like, oh man, like Tampa Bay gets to hoist the cup in Edmonton before Edmonton does. Like, oh man, that's a shame. Like we were just a good host, okay? So that's all it is. But yeah, like Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins. Really like seeing Skinner's goaltending. Like he almost got a shutout until just a few moments ago. I've been really impressed with the tenacity and their teamwork because like they've got such good stats and they haven't had much postseason success ever. Like they beat Calgary back in 2022 to get to the Western Finals, but then they got stomped by Colorado, and then they went on to win the cup. So I was a little salty about that because like if they had just held on, they would have been able to probably get the win there. But I'm trying not to get too salty about it. I know one of our delightful fans in the chat was like saying like I will never be a fan of Boston because they beat Vancouver. Like, dude, that was like 13 years ago, man. Like I was salty about Edmonton losing in '06, but I got over it eventually, especially because the goalie for the Hurricanes that year was Cam Ward, and he's from Edmonton. And not only is he from Edmonton, he was the MVP. He was also a stick boy for the Oilers back in their glory days, like in the '80s and stuff. So it's like of all the teams that he had to face in the finals, it had to be the one team that he grew up loving. So imagine how difficult it must be for him to like be not welcomed back in your own hometown like that. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting developments. This has been like the most attentive I've been to a postseason in a while because I was sad to see the Caps getting swept, but I was just glad they made it to the postseason in general because like they kind of got super duper lucky because the Flyers basically face planted and they had all they had to do was win 3 games out of 10. They only managed to win 2, so it's like, oh man, that like the Caps just they kind of slid, and it wasn't like a huge fight. It was like everybody else.
Funny because like a couple of weeks earlier, I was so convinced we weren't going to make it because we lost some of the games we needed to win, and then like suddenly went on this crazy run at the very end.
Right.
For sure. I'm gonna get Gil's thoughts because we're bringing him back in.
Yeah.
Well. Gil, what are your thoughts on this wild second and third period since we last left off?
I don't know what happened that second period, but yeah, as bad as the shot differential was, yeah, it got way worse in the second period. They just lost the handle. The one thing I did notice about Vancouver, for a team that has the physical edge or has had the physical edge for the most part in this game, their zone entries have been horribly timid and soft. A team with a Nikita Zadorov on it should not be that soft entering the zone, especially if you've got speed coming from the neutral zone. But that has not helped at all. And the fact that they haven't found their shot selections until this period hasn't helped either. And I don't know. They're helping Edmonton look good because their defense is nothing to write home about. Never has been. So they're kind of beating themselves, but they're rallying here. It's 5:23 left. Face off at center ice. So we'll see what happens here. But
you're just showing Owen Wilson, who was a Vancouver fan. So I've learned something.
Wow.
So wow. Yeah, so that's pretty wild. 5:15 left here in the third. on my view. Edmonton's still up 3-1, and they're still outshooting them 29-16 overall. But Vancouver has a bit more jump to their step. They've had some good plays here in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They're definitely energized by that goal, which, I mean, the crowd needed life. For sure, because it was pretty dead in there for a while. But it'll be interesting to see here. They're trying to had some good zone time, but Edmonton's able to clear it out here, go the length of the ice for icing.
Oh, icing, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we'll see. They'll have to stay on the ice there, and they'll be able to switch. On the screen right now, they're showing game one between New York and Florida will be on Wednesday.
Yes.
And then
Blast from the point and they score. Sorry to jump in.
oh wow.
Yeah, 3-2.
Wow.
Vancouver got it.
Oh,
Hronek, I
snap.
think.
Wow.
Looks like who's 17? I don't have my roster card.
Yeah, you're like a couple seconds ahead of me. That only just transpired in my TV.
Oh.
Oh man, you're my crystal ball here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he's ahead of me.
No.
So, yeah, 436.
Yeah,
It's kind of
this
exciting.
is what I was afraid of because like Vancouver's done such a good job of rallying late in the game. So I was trying to avoid this happening.
Sorry, I feel like I'm being a jinx. I mean, maybe we should.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, go off air.
Hronek from the point doesn't look like it was deflected going in.
A lot of traffic in front.
A lot of traffic, but it was clean.
Yeah.
Beat Skinner clean.
Actually,
so
I think
looks like
his own guy kind of blocked his view a little bit. And
he was definitely screened.
Yeah.
Looks like Edmonton has called a timeout. Well, somebody's called a timeout.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's actually Edmonton, which I think is a smart move. To
yeah, it is.
Yeah, settle them down because they need to clamp it down here. 436. Probably looking at pulling the goalie here soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Davey's taking responsibility in chat. He's like, this game is not at all.
You're good.
So this is
good, Dave. It's fine. It's all good.
So Adrian and I have sat through these so many times as Caps fans over the years, in this exact room. And so I feel like our heart is very hardened from these sort of these collapses. In Game 7's not showing up. So
it's all too familiar. All too familiar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So vision to see here. It was that guy's first playoff hat trick goal. Another goal from a defender in this game, which is interesting.
Oh wow.
A lot of scoring from the point and screening the goalie, which is kind of how you have to beat them. If they see it, they seem to be able to stop it. At least in this one so far. Yeah, they're showing there's 2 goals in under 4 minutes here. It's 4:25 left here in the third period. But this is been a watch along party. We don't do this very often, but it's a game 7. I know Liz will be off at 11, but that's game 7. I'm not gonna not watch this. So,
yeah, this is great. Yeah,
it's
I'm enjoying this.
So it's down below the goal for Vancouver. Vancouver gets it back up to point. They come around the edge. They're pressuring them down low. Let's see here, a pass back to point. They try to get it through a block, but they get the puck back.
He could have gotten it.
It's deflected out of play there, and there's going to be a face-off in the offensive zone, I believe. So
yeah.
Well,
let's talk to Gil because he's got the
yeah, exactly. Gil does a good play-by-play. He could probably let us know.
Oilers win the face-off. They clear the zone. They've got it deep in the Vancouver's end right now. Still cycling along the half boards now. Still cycling. They're not giving it up. I can't see who that is. 17, 27. I think that's Hyman that's got 37. Warren Fogle. Great work along the boards by him. It killed off about 45 seconds all by himself with that great work along the boards. They still got along the half boards. Vancouver cannot dislodge them. So it's Ryan battling. Okay, Vancouver's finally got it back. They're breaking out now.
Wow, good job.
Okay,
It's like I'm
so
watching it like 20 seconds later, just watching.
having a lot of trouble getting out of their zone. Time's ticking away here, under 3 minutes.
Yep.
They've gone all the way back behind. Okay, so they changed lines. They're gone all the way back behind their goal. Now they get to center. All right, so it's Susie pinching in. He shoots. It's wide. They got another point. They lose it again. They have to clear the zone, play tag up. Good God. Susie behind his net. Great forechecking by Edmonton here.
Good.
Keeping them pinned. Okay, start the breakout again. And no, cannot clear center. Edmonton skies it into the zone. No icing because it cleared center. So they're still pinned, trying to get out. Can't enter the zone. Edmonton recovers. They get to center. 180 feet again.
How much time's left?
Okay, about just under 2 minutes. Pedersen's got it. Dumps it in. Edmonton recovers, and they clear again. Back into the Vancouver zone. 145 left on my end.
Yeah, you're 15 seconds ahead of me. I'm only just crossing 2 minutes.
Yeah, 10 seconds ahead of me.
Okay, deep in the Oilers zone. Pedersen on the forecheck. They got along the half boards, and Edmonton clears again. Back to center.
Yeah, it's an empty net as well.
Yeah, wow. They just emptied their net. Okay, deep in the Vancouver zone again, trying to outskate. So 6-on-5 for Vancouver. Okay, they gain the zone, and it's along, who's that? Connor, looks like Garland. Connor Garland, maybe. And they're battling. Let's see what they got. Okay, so behind the net, Vancouver is not getting any cycling going at all. No puck movement. Edmonton's just pinning them along the boards, which is what you got to do. And they've broken out. Ooh, little shove there. Surprised that wasn't called. Okay, Vancouver gets it back, but turn it over again. It's back to center. They've got to tag up. 35 seconds left. They really need to get something going here, but they're just not getting any possession. All right, one last gasp here. They break out behind the back pass, and it's in the corner. Edmonton recovers. They don't have no spacing. Nothing. They get one shot from center that I don't know if it made it on net. 7 seconds left here. They got to clear again. They got to tag up again. Blast in the zone. Nope, it's all over. It's all over.
Yeah! You heard it here first.
Yeah,
from Gil. From Gil's sexy voice. Oh yeah.
There you go.
Thank you for that. Oh man.
That's
what
awesome.
A thrill.
Yeah.
They live to
It's
fight
like listening to radio while watching the delay.
Yeah.
I love it. Good job. Congratulations, Adrian.
Woo, that was a thrill. That was a thrill, man. Oh man. That was a little scary at the end there.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Yeah, it's like you gotta
get a live reaction of an Oilers fan.
Yeah.
And the biggest Oilers fan I know. So
Edmonton did a damn good job of locking things down. They had nothing. They had literally nothing the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
No.
That's tough too, especially with the momentum sliding. It was a good timeout. They definitely settled them down. I really feel like
that was a good call.
Yeah.
Great idea.
You may as well use it then, right? You can't, you can't take it with you. So no regrets. So that's a big
up this chat. Yeah.
All right. So Edmonton will go on to face Dallas, and
yes, they're still in it.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting matchup for sure. Adrian, any thoughts on the matchup with Dallas before we start to wrap things up?
Well, I feel like Dallas's best asset is Ottinger. Like he's been a very solid goaltender. So this goaltender that Vancouver had, they were saying how like he was won like third place in like the Latvia in like the World Championships and stuff. And like I was pretty intimidated by him. So it's like just keep on the offensive pressure. Don't worry about the reputation so much, because like I feel like Edmonton, they've been kind of like hyped up because like, oh, you got Connor McDavid, you got Leon Draisaitl, all this stuff. It's like, and then they keep losing in the postseason. It's like, don't try to live up to some sort of reputation. Just try to play the best game you can. Don't like play 50 minutes of hockey or 55 minutes of hockey. Try to play the entire game. Don't let up. Don't give them a chance. Just keep going. This is the most like you've made it this far before a couple of years ago. You can do it again. You can go all the way. It's some pretty intense competition. Like it's been pretty serious and amazing hockey, and we're only halfway done with the postseason. That's incredible. Like
that's so wild.
The type of caliber games we've been witnessing is unreal. So I'm really excited to what the next series has in store, and I really appreciate you having me on. This like I wasn't expecting to come on tonight when I was just like listening in and chatting away.
I
So
thought about it. I was
nice
like, you're the biggest fan I know, and you and I have watched
Thanks.
so many hockey games together. It makes no sense not to have you. And you've been on the show once before, I believe. So
yeah,
so I'm happy to have you back and to do that. I want to get Gil's last thoughts on it, and then I'm going to end audio podcast. But Adrian, I want you to raid with me. We have a special guest if he stays on, who I want to raid. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But Gil, I want to get your thoughts real fast. Now that we know the final matchup here, what are your thoughts on this finals?
This Western Conference series, to me, it's wide open. Either one of these teams could come out the winner. I don't know if it'll go 7, but and it really wouldn't surprise me if it ends in a sweep or 5. But I think either one of these teams has a great chance to win. I don't trust Dallas at all. I still think they're susceptible to blowing leads. We've seen that, and that I just don't trust them. And I think Edmonton's got a pretty good chance if this team that showed up tonight plays in for the majority of the series. If this team, this Edmonton team shows up for that series, I think they've got a great chance to win because they played a great lockdown game, especially in the final period when it counted the most. And they didn't need McDavid to score. They got their secondary finally kicked in. They got two defensemen to score, I think. Well, at least one anyway. So if they can get some help from the back line, they've got a great chance. I don't trust Dallas at all, but again, it could go either way.
Right.
It's crazy they did this with Draisaitl getting 1 assist and McDavid not getting an assist or a goal in it, and they were still able to win. 3-2. I mean that's impressive to me that the other people really stepped up in a big way in this game.
Need that this series.
Yeah, for sure. All right, with that, Gil, thank you for staying up extra late with us and doing a little play-by-play action in the third of 7. I know it wasn't overtime like we had talked about you wanting, which I'm happy for our friend Adrian here.
It was just as good.
Yeah, so it was an exciting ending, and I look forward to having you back on in 2 weeks to talk about how these series either end or we could have a Game 7 Rangers game as well if it goes the distance live in 2 weeks on this day. So that would be exciting to cover either way. But Gil, you're awesome as always. He has finished the latest podcast. And Gil, just let people know one more time who weren't watching me at the beginning of the Twitch stream what you talked about this week, and then we'll let you go.
Okay, so we ended the season with 2 of our most ardent supporters, Stuart Small and Paul Hackett of the show. They came on in separate segments with me to give their thoughts about how 2024 went and how next year could go for the Caps, and kind of extended take from them. So that's going to be the last of this year unless something breaks majorly for the Caps in the offseason. But yeah, that's pretty much it until October for us.
Sounds good. We'll definitely go check it out in the podcast partners button. All the links are in chat. You can contact him on Facebook or on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, or you can definitely catch us on the Facebook group where they talk hockey all the time, even in the off season. And we'll definitely have Gil back on in 2 weeks to talk about the Bears as well. And Gil, I appreciate you joining us and staying on to finish the segment off.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me again.
Bye, Gil.
All right. Nice meeting you, Adrian.
Yeah, nice to meet you
Okay.
too.
Take care.
All right. So with that, I'm going to end the Facebook Live and the audio podcast. We will stay live on Twitch for a second. We're going to rate a special friend in just a moment. But thank you everyone for tuning in and being a part of this episode 342. We talked about live Edmonton win on air, which was a lot of fun. We talked about all of the NBA stuff. We talked about so many different sports leagues, whether it be women's soccer, men's soccer. We had Defenders talk. I'm excited to go to a game with Tim and Champ and CP3 in a couple of weeks. We'll recap that in 2 weeks as well. In 2 weeks, we will be back. We're taking next week off, and we'll be back talking about the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals, or talking about a live Game 7 in the NHL playoffs as well. Yeah, we talked a little baseball as well. And unfortunately, DC United did lose both games, but I do like that the battle of the Beltways. Adrian showing off. I appreciate that. And thank you everyone for tuning into the audio podcast. I know that we put this up usually a week later, but if you want to catch them live, you can always catch us on twitch.tv/RobbieG_SportsOTHP or on my Facebook page. And you can find the links to all of that on sportsothp.com. Click the socials button. I also posted on the YouTube channel. We split it up into different segments. We'll probably have 3, maybe even 4 segments for this one, and they'll be live on the YouTube channel the next day. So thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Robbie. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're out on that, and we are still live on Twitch. And I know that Arun's in chat. I don't know if he's listening, but we are going to go read over to our friend Arun. And we got to raid Adrian last week. And so, did he just? Oh, he just went offline. All right. Well, we're gonna rate him.
I was about to start mine, so.
Yeah. Well, why don't you? Actually, that's a great idea, Adrian. You go live, and I'll raid you, and we'll join you in just a second. And yeah, awesome.
Appreciate it. No, I appreciate what you did last week. That was such a nice surprise.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's cool because like so many people that were on this show rated into the show. I know that Arun rated in, also Champ rated in. Thank you to Money for rating as well. We had 3 raids, which is very rare for this channel. And it'll be cool to raid out to somebody who's going to be live and doing that. So Adrian, let me know when your account is live, and then we'll raid over there. And
we're going there right now.
And, nice. We're getting the live journey to starting a stream. I like it. Very rarely do people get the behind the scenes into that.
The behind the scenes, my amazing basement of my man cave, which I've yet to decorate, except for like one poster a Pokemon poster my son put up.
Nice. But this is your guys' new place, right? I actually haven't been there yet.
Yeah, we would love to have you over. I have it's not a super high-tech setup. I literally just put it on a chair, and I set up my webcam. This is my webcam. I put it on the armrest of the chair, and I have it like pointed up at me. I don't have like a high-tech setup.
And you stream live from your system, right?
Yeah. Like what's Xbox Series X, you can stream from Twitch directly from it. I know that PlayStation 5 lets you do it with YouTube. So it's cool. If I get a PlayStation in the future, it's like that sounds pretty cool to do a YouTube stream. But Xbox does Twitch built in. So like I didn't have all I had to do was just like get it from the store for free, plug in a webcam. I got for like $65 at like Best Buy, and then I made my account.
I think one of my very first webcams was that same one, actually, which is kind of funny. I stream it. I think I have one over there. So I end up actually streaming live from just my MacBook Pro's, webcam, because the one on the M2 chip, 16 inch is actually not bad. So like, so I'm like, if you just do it from the webcam, might as well. So less stuff to set up, because I have to set up a whole studio. For people that don't know my studio setup, I'll show it while Adrian is. So you can
Yeah.
see behind me, we've got all the different screens. So up there's got OBS with all the different settings and what screen we're on. Down there is us or whatever we're streaming live. And then over there is the TV that we're watching the live game on. Um,
Nice.
and so it's cool because I won this cool glowing Twitch logo on a
Oh, nice.
a friend of mine had a drawing on his channel, and somehow I win like all of his things. I don't know how I do it. You're not
That's
allowed to enter anymore. You're a
yeah,
moderator. You shouldn't even be winning all this stuff. I'm like, I just
right.
keep randomly winning. But this is the thing I'm probably proudest of because it's kind of cool. Because like it's almost like I'm live on Twitch, so people that are
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
live on Facebook kind of like
Fine, yeah.
subconsciously like come to Twitch because I'm not allowed to write if I write the word Twitch on the Facebook post, like Facebook totally suppresses it, like, oh, we don't like you talking about our rival, and so they
Oh
don't like
no.
send it to anybody. But if I just have a glowing Twitch logo hovering next to me, I'm not
Right.
saying it, I'm not writing
Yeah.
it, it's just behind
Yeah.
the
I don't know
scenes.
what you're talking
So,
about. Like I'm not
exactly,
saying anything. Yeah. It's all
exactly.
good. It's all good. Yeah.
So,
Nice.
all right, how's it going? What do you have to still do to set up?
I'm just getting it set up right now. I can title it whatever I want. I I just had it from yesterday, like Sunday night fight. I can make it. Let's do Monday night post game. Oh yeah, here. How about Monday night sports?
Offline, sometime I should have you make me a mod, and then I can jump in and I can change stuff
Sure.
why.
Yeah.
Then I can add bots and stuff for you. So we'll talk offline, and I can
Over.
help you do some of that. But I really appreciate everyone for tuning in to Adrian's stream last time. I know that
Thank you. Yeah.
more than three average is helpful for him to get affiliate. So hopefully with the raid tonight, we can help him on that path. Just because it's fun to have some emotes and things like that with the channel, and so I always like helping people get there, and I appreciate
I
all of
appreciate it. Yeah.
the
I just
also having a live Oilers fan on the podcast. I know,
I can be your
unfortunately,
correspondent for that. Yeah. No problem.
exactly. So I'll have you be my correspondent in 2 weeks, and come back and maybe join me at the top of the segment. We usually start at 9. We're gonna have
Yeah.
C4 and Gil on. Maybe we'll have you on then if you're around. I don't know if you're around that early, but we can talk in 2 weeks about maybe having you back on for that. That'd be kind of fun.
Sure. Yeah.
Be funny
I'll be
because
back.
if the Rangers move on and you move on, I have a Rangers correspondent and you could be the Oilers correspondent. That'd
True.
be a
Yeah.
cool segment if we had both of you on together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun. So, I'll hope for that championship just for that because that would be exciting.
Well,
Um,
I am now ready to go. I am actually
all right.
live streaming
Yeah,
right
why don't you go
now. What do
live
I have to
and
do?
all right, cool. I will we'll head over right now. So we're gonna head over to Adrian and so it's kind of funny to actually see him and right into him from two different. I don't know if I've ever seen this happen before on Twitch, but we're breaking ground. So I
Yeah.
appreciate everyone for tuning in. Everyone definitely give Ace Caltor 314 a follow when you get over there. And if you can leave a lurk tonight, I know that it would help him in his goals for getting to affiliate. We appreciate everyone for tuning in and being a part of this episode of Sports on the Hill podcast. I'm going to give you guys the raid message and the sub raid, which is kind of funny because usually like the person isn't going to see this, but and so
Yeah.
if you have one of those two things and would like to do a raid call with me and join in on the raid. I really appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thank you to the
Please.
7 viewers that are planning to raid with us. We'll be back again in 2 weeks, not next week. Everyone have a fun Memorial Day. And in 2 weeks, we'll come back and I'll have Adrian and maybe Scott give recaps on how their series went and hopefully in a positive way. And we'll talk and preview the Stanley Cup, finals. So
That sounds exciting. I can't wait for that. Yeah, I appreciate the raid, everything, Robbie. That sounds exciting. Yeah.
okay. I will
I
send
got
them
my
over.
own dialogue there. Yeah.
See you soon.
Yeah, thanks again, Robbie. Have a good night, okay?
All right, sounds good. You too. All right, bye.
Bye. Okay, so here we are.